Hi, you may not know me, but my name is Babila, and welcome to my channel. It's crazy how many things can change in 1 year. I'm 23 and I just graduated college, and 2022 was the best year of my life. Do you want to know why? We'll get to that in a second. I originally got the idea for this video from Scott Kramer. He did a similar thing like a year ago, and it was probably one of his best videos I've ever seen from him. You should definitely check out his channel if you're not already a fan of Scott Kramer. If you're new here, you should subscribe and turn on notifications. Also, down below, scream into the void in the comment section and tell me about one of your most memorable moments from the year, whether it be good or bad. The comment section is a safe space here. Basically what we're gonna do is we're gonna walk through the entire year. I'm gonna talk about some of the bigger accomplishments that I've had and where I've been at for each one of those accomplishments. I'm also gonna talk about what was going on in my mind at the time of recording for the 6 or 7 videos on my channel. When I talk about each topic, I'm gonna attempt to be in a space that represents the topic that I'm talking about. So we will be back to this spot again later. Also sparsed between everything that you're going to hear in this video, you're going to hear little snippets of journal entries that I've done across the entire year, just so you can kind of see where I was at mentally over the course of what has kind of just been a crazy year for me. But without further ado, let's just go ahead and jump into it. I spent so much of my life being one way, what was expected of me. And expectations were high. One day you'll be president, one day you'll be an engineer, one day you'll be a doctor. People like you are going to change the world someday. But this was a lot to put on the back of a 5-year-old. I think at the time I was really growing to enjoy the attention. Anytime I'd say that I was going after any of these professions or any of these aspirations, I'd get such a positive reaction out of it. Flash forward about 17 years later and the world got very real. I couldn't rely on the same feelings anymore because just coasting on the praise of others isn't something that's gonna propel you forward in any meaningful capacity. Like I mentioned before, I've always had a plan for my life. And about a year ago, I abandoned it. It's what I went to college to do. And I didn't really wake up until my senior year, which is a little late. At least that's what I was thinking at the time. Personally, I think what I've really learned is how much I value having a plan. Anytime that I'm stressed about something, the first thing I do is plan and organize, which is strange because a lot of people that know me personally are like, you don't really seem like the planned, organized type, which if you could see the state of the rest of my room right now, you would probably agree with them. But in reality, that's the way that I deal with these kinds of things. But the master plan for my life had been shaken up pretty hard. And in that time, I went to some pretty dark places mentally. Going into the beginning of the year, things were pretty rough, but it is this lack of plan that ended up pushing me into finally going into therapy. In the beginning, I definitely wasn't very good at it. I don't know if you can be good or bad at therapy, but if you can be, it definitely wasn't good. I really wanted it to be the type of experience where I just walk in and everything gets fixed after one session, which if you're new / are planning to go to therapy, that is definitely not how it works. Newsflash, but you can't solve mental illness in one session. Even though it's an ongoing process, I can definitely see improvements in my mental health across this entire year. It's really helped me realize that I can't live my entire life for other people. I really do only get one of these. These being D's nuts. There's something about being the only one awake in a house at 2:01 in the morning that makes you really reflect on your life. I'm really sitting here in the corner of a room saying D's nuts. Anyway, but by attending these sessions, I gained a little bit more peace of mind and a little bit more confidence. Confidence to do some more ambitious things. It was February 11th of this year where I was about to do something really nerve-wracking. There were two big things that I did this year that were music related. First, I performed live for the first time. The first time I ever sang in front of people for a performance was actually in 2021, but the first time that I had done it outside of an academic context was in 2022. For the first gig that I got, I was initially really nervous about it. So in preparation, I put together a house concert for me and my friends so I could get more of a feel of what it would be like performing in front of an audience, especially because I had never performed just me and a guitar. It's really lonely and scary up there. So I was like, let me do a little test run. Me and one of my close friends put together like a little concert where he was my opener and I was the main act. And I had about 12 of our friends come and watch us perform live. It was really small and intimate, but we put together like a little lighting setup. Future me put up a picture of what the setup looks like. Thank you. And then after we all just like hung out, it was a really nice vibe. And it definitely increased my confidence on what would end up becoming a pretty good performance, in my opinion.
Do you miss my fingertips, the smell of my cologne? Do I ever cross your mind at night when you're alone? Empty faces, empty spaces, I can't help you tie those laces. Oh, the seasons, they keep changing, I wish I could rearrange them.
After that, I did, I think, 3 more across the rest of the year, and I had a lot of fun doing it. The second thing that I did actually happened before all of this. This is already all over the place. The second thing that I did was release my music to the public for the first time. I've been putting little projects together for a while now, but for the first time, I made a project with the explicit purpose of it being released and for people to listen to it. The EP went public on Valentine's Day, and that journal entry that I read from earlier was 3 days before I actually ended up releasing everything. And I don't know if it's obvious, but I was very nervous. Also, if you're wondering why I'm standing inside this cluttered, dimly lit closet, this was where the entirety of the EP was recorded, except for the piano parts. But yeah, the EP is called Never That Way. And I wrote about a few things. My lack of direction at the time, and I don't have a plan. My fear of never finding love / not being able to accept it and attribute to someone I've never met, and unrequited feelings and the fact that it's okay if things don't turn out the way that you want them to in Never That Way, which is the outro for all of my videos. This took a lot of courage for me to do, and I'm honestly really proud of myself. I definitely have a lot of growing to do as a producer, but not too bad for a first start. I did what a lot of people haven't, so I'm grateful. Speaking of doing what a lot of people don't do, I've had this YouTube channel for almost a decade. Actually, I've had this YouTube channel for over a decade now. If you check the channel description, this channel has existed since 2012, August of 2012. When I was first making videos, I was using my dad's webcam off of a work computer that he had. At the time, I thought that the webcam was like the best thing ever. I'm realizing there's another fan that's on in here that is making noise. The ones who know, and the ones who don't. I have about 5 to 7 videos that exist on this channel, but they're privated, and they're all videos that were made in this original era of the channel. That's why I'm standing here right now. This iconic red stripe was the backdrop for pretty much every single one of these older videos. Side note, these videos will eventually see the light of day in some capacity. I have a plan, but y'all will see. That day is, not today though. It's funny because at this point in this year, when I was working on this video, nobody knew I was going back to making YouTube content. And I made one goal for myself. If I'm gonna go public about this, I need to make at least 4 videos. But as you can see, this video came out in May and the next video didn't come out until June. I'm realizing that the monthly upload schedule is kind of what I am doing right now, but that is going to change. I had a general idea of like what I wanted for, the aesthetics of the channel and like the basic setup and stuff like that. But you can tell that I hadn't found exactly the way that I wanted to do things just yet. But one of the best things about creating is realizing that nobody can tell me that my style is wrong. I can be free and do whatever I want. Making the musical memories intro was definitely just like a stream of consciousness type thing. I was just sitting there one day and I was like, it'd be cool if this video had an intro. And then maybe like 2 hours later I had one. So yeah, I think I can say that the beginning part of the video is definitely my favorite. A brief disclaimer, that video was made before, like way before any of the allegations related to Rex Orange County had even come out. At the time of recording this, the charges against Rex have been dropped, but it's interesting that you can see, looking back at some of my past videos, the Apricot Princess vinyl is there, and then the minute the news came out, I took it down and replaced it with, I think, the essential Frank Sinatra album. Funny tidbit of lore, I guess. Anyway, here's my favorite part of the video. So, you may not know me. If you do, cool, nice, good to see you again. If not, my name is Babila. Important things to say when you've never met somebody. This is where the whole, hi, you may not know me, but my name is Babila thing came from. There's something I need everyone to know about the intro to Things I Thought Of, or Tito. Honestly, I just have things to say about Tito in general. First, the creation of the intro. I came up with the idea for Things I Thought Of really early on in the channel planning process, but at the time it went by like a bunch of different names and it had a bunch of different purposes. Like for a while it was called Things I Thought About, and it was supposed to be me just documenting random thoughts that I had on camera, and then it would be some kind of thing that people got access to via Patreon. That would be like a thing like way later down the line, which it seems a little bit presumptuous to be like, hey, I'm gonna start a Patreon, but I guess we'll see how things end up going. I have a lot of plans, guys, but you want to talk about aimless? Let's talk about me making the intro to Things I Thought Of. When I was making the intro, I had a general idea of like what I was wanting out of that period of time in my life, but it was also really strange because a lot of my friends were graduating college. I don't know, it didn't really feel great to see all my peers leaving before I did. But for me, when I'm in a really tough spot, what I do is create. Having something that keeps me going is like really, really important. One of the nights where I was like really, really freaking out, I got out of bed at like 11 p.m. and completed almost the entirety of the stop motion section of the intro in my underwear. True story. Cutting out and painting letters, taking all the pictures, all that stuff. You're welcome. And now every time you see the intro, you can imagine the fact that I'm behind the camera with no clothes on. That might be a weird thing to say. Secondly, what is Tito? What is Things I Thought Of? I think I've finally made the decision on what exactly Things I Thought Of is going to be. After a couple of different content ideas, I think I've firmly settled on it being video essay commentary type content, which is technically what I said before. So videos like the Weezer video will fall under a different category of content moving forward. What does that mean? Well, essentially there are going to be other series that end up coming to the channel at some point, one of which we will be talking about later. But yes, this is me like still attempting to get my footing, which I am still doing. All that being said, I can confidently say that this part is my favorite part of the video. Then the timeline starts going wild, right? Our snake that warned John Wilkes Booth, our snake that, oh my goodness, the snake that warned, there's too many snakes. There's too many snakes. I love leaving my mistakes in. It's so fun. Also, one thing that I definitely learned from something I definitely learned from the experience of making this video is to not rush the process ever. I think I'd rather post a video late than it be bad. I think I'm learning the importance of being patient, making sure that the video is all right, rather than getting it out by some deadline. Does that mean that I didn't make mistakes after this? Oh, I definitely did. But I very distinctly remember that me coming back to my hometown was something that was like just about to happen. So I recorded the video right before I left, and I was kind of in a rush. So that was also one of my first attempts at trying to speak off the cuff, and I didn't really end up liking the cadence that I ended up using in the video, but I don't know if it was even noticeable in the first place. This whole snakes video was like the epitome of like a literal thing that I just thought of once. I was like, wow, there's a paradox in this episode. That's also why I'm holding a clock. I'm not sure if you noticed that. I seem to be losing my voice a little bit. This is a video. Something that I've noticed is that I've been really committed to like making the content that I want to make, no matter how niche it is, because 1964 is not like a super well-known song. I'm in the parking lot of my old middle school right now, and there are people who are outside walking that are looking at me sitting in my car. Hello, people. I'm happy that I made a video about it though, because of this song's importance in my life. A lot of these other songs were moments that I had shared with another person, but 1964 was a song that was uniquely mine. Also, at this point, this was the first time I'd ever made a video with the set that I had in my last place. Man,
I miss him.
in the video making process, there's a reason why there's a 2-month gap between the Rick and Morty hat paradox video and the 1964 video. It's because I was really busy with this school organization that took up like so much of my time over the summer. Shout out to the people. But with all this transitioning, and I moved out of the place that I filmed the first 2 videos in, it made for getting started and getting situated again really difficult. I had to be fully moved into my new place before I felt like I could actually record anything. But the funny thing is that even though I felt like I needed to be that prepared to record something, I still ended up recording in my bathtub like a month later. With all that being said, here's my favorite part of the video. As things start to wind down, there's this feeling that creeps over your shoulder. It's your keys calling out to you. Eventually, you'll have to leave this place and get back to the real world, your real world. You'll have to think about your real life again. You have to be alone again. I like this video. It's funny because looking back, I can see myself sort of getting into the groove the fan in this bathroom is on. It's funny because looking back, I can see myself getting into the groove of what my videos would eventually be. What I want my style to like, what I want my cadence to be like, blah, 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 blah. I was almost to where I think I've settled into now. This was also the first video that I went public with on social media. Prior to promoting my videos on social media, I don't think I had a video that had reached 50 views, but this one reached 1,000 views in a day. People are still leaving comments on this video to this day, which makes me really, really happy. If I had to rank how much energy went into creating all these videos, at least on the research front, this is definitely the one that was the most difficult because it was a concept that I didn't understand at all really before I started making the video. I also went through a lot of personal revelations in the process of making this video, realizing concepts like the fact that I have individual agency and the fact that I get to make choices in life, and that in relationship settings, just because one person wants something for you doesn't mean that that is what has to happen, which is crazy that I didn't think that before. But in researching this, like, it definitely opened up my idea. It definitely opened up my mind to the idea of it. I think here I'm going to highlight one of my favorite exchanges that happened in the comments.
Not my male gaze objectifying how hot Babila is over the course of this video. Just tell us you're gay already. If I were to possessively have a gay, then I guess to answer your question here, it would be Billy Eichner. He seems fun. What the heck, bro? Just say you're gay.
He did. We might be playing fast and loose with this one. It's 1:19 in the morning and I'm standing in my shower. I missed the bathtub. Yes. My opportunity to talk about my wife. Not that I don't like this video, but It's just that after it came right after what was the most successful one out of all the other ones, and I couldn't help but compare the two, and I felt the drive afterwards to create more content because I was like, oh, you know, people really enjoyed the last one, maybe that momentum will keep moving forward, which I mean technically it did. My videos before my video on Francis Forever, none of them did as well as the Francis Forever video did. So honestly, I should really just be celebrating my small victories. But at the time, all I could really think about was the flaws that the video ended up having. Because I rushed it out, there are a few errors in there that still bug me a little bit, but there are definitely a lot of redeeming qualities that are going on in there. I think this is another example of me realizing that I think I'd prefer to, instead of sticking to a really strict deadline, focus more on making sure that the things that I put out are high quality. But by far, I know 100% what my favorite part of this video is. There are a lot of parts in this video that I do like, and there are things that have carried over into stuff that I still continue to do. I say this like I have a million videos out. This is the 8th video on the channel. But for sure, the best part of this video is this section right here.
But you know, I already had a good friend that had been rearing his ugly head pretty much since the beginning of the year. You see, this was around when I was starting to realize that I struggled with depression.
I go to bed and think about this clip. The way the shadow flips around me, bruh, stop playing. I think of any of my videos, these next two were the most emotional for me to make. I conducted some interviews for this one, talking to some people about how they believe that generational trauma has affected their individual lives. It's crazy, and we had some pretty serious conversations, which helped me realize two things. Specifically, when it comes to like interviewing people for a video topic. Thing A, I'll include them in the video. I think with the sample size that I had whenever I was making the video, I didn't feel like I had enough people who were willing to be included in it. So I thought, you know, I'd rather just keep it to not having any interviews at all rather than it just being one person. But they were really helpful. Thing two, I don't know if I said A or B, whatever. The second thing, I'm definitely going to space them out a lot more, especially when it's a topic as heavy as this. I don't think I realized how emotionally taxing it was going to be to talk about such a serious topic multiple times in one day. In the future, I'll definitely space things out a little bit more. I also want to give a quick shout out to FD Signifier and F the Algorithm, because this video is on its way to becoming my most viewed video because both of them promoted the video. So I'm very thankful. I'm glad all you new friends enjoyed the video. Hopefully you stick around. My favorite part of the video is definitely this whole bit.
Hey, hold on, script. This feels a little premature. I mean, we've only talked about this in like a general sense. The homies in the audience don't have like a tangible or relatable example. Like, how are they gonna have a good grasp on the concept if the only thing that we've given them is the Holocaust?
So some examples, I guess.
Another thing about the process of making this video specifically, I don't know what it was, but I was just caught in a terrible mood. The entirety of me filming the generational trauma video, I was extremely frustrated. And I don't know what it was about that day in particular that like set me in such like a bad mood. But if you could see the original footage, you see me getting frustrated like literally the entire time. But it ended up turning out to be one of my favorite, if not my favorite video that's on my channel right now. This video was so much more important to me than I ever thought it was going to be. Like I said in the video, in a time where I was experiencing a lot of doubt and fear about my future, I turned to the thing that I believed was going to be comforting to me, which was just listening to Weezer. Spending so much time with my favorite band was, I think, exactly what I needed at the time. There was a lot of comfort that came with it, although it was definitely my biggest undertaking I had taken on so far with all of this. With the length of the video, before I edited everything down, there was 5 hours of raw footage for that video, and I don't think I can do that again, at least in the spot that I'm in with my channel at the moment. So I also had to listen to the albums and review every single song, and then I made animated transitions that were related to every single album. I made a rubric. In the video, I say that it's a project that took me 3 weeks to do, but in reality, it actually took me a month and a half. I started the video in October and it didn't end up getting released until the end of November, the beginning of December. I don't remember. But yeah, like I said, I don't think I'm going to be making a video like that's that long for a while, especially because I like to have character in my videos. In my particular editing style with like hand-drawn animations and stuff like that, things end up taking so much longer than I think I ever anticipated. But as I say in the video, it was definitely a labor of love, and it was something that I think I needed at the time. So I don't really regret it. I honestly didn't really have any expectations that the video would do well in the first place. Also, I don't know where this kick of me filming inside my bathtub came from, but I did have a lot of fun doing it. It was a surprisingly comfortable place to be filming, and the shots that I took at the beginning of the video ended up coming out like super crisp. Unfortunately, I can't record in that bathtub anymore because I have moved out of that place. So with all that being said, this was my favorite part of the video.
I forgot the toilet makes sounds.
Man, this Celsius is really Celsiusing right now.
My butt is too big. Okay. Where I'm sitting right now is also the spot where I recorded the review portion of the Weezer video. I did all the listening and reviewing of all the songs back where I lived before, but I ended up having to film part of it here and then other parts of it there, and it was a lot. A couple things that I kind of want to say about this video in general. I think the animated transitions that I made for every single album were really cool. Thank you to that one commenter who said something about it. I appreciate you. The next time that I do I reviewed all of the songs for an artist thing, because I definitely think I'm going to do it again. Next time I do it, I'm going to change the weights for the rubric, because that's probably one of the biggest gripes that I have about that video just in general. Finally, on the topic of the Weezer video, I would like to give some shout outs to some of the songs that I've become super attached to since I reviewed all of them. At the time of recording this, all of Seasons is out. So shout out to Angels on Vacation, Francesca, I Want a Dog. All of those songs are awesome. I can also say that after listening to so much Weezer in such a short period of time, I've grown the most attached to Michael and Carly, Tripping Down the Freeway, Glorious Day, Dope Nose, and most of all, Tragic Girl, which somehow ended up becoming like the anthem for the end of my time in college. I really like that song. It might be one of the most emotional songs that the band has ever done. If you have any interest at all, I definitely recommend giving it a listen. Graduation. So my journey has finally come to a close. And honestly, I've been through so much and I've been so many different forms of myself that it reminds me of this quote from Doctor Who. I'm very convinced that I am a fan of so many things that should make me the most cringy human being in the world, but somehow I have not ended up being that. Like the things that you like, guys. I think regardless of your opinions on the show in general, you can understand the message that they were going for. It's a quote from Matt Smith at the end of his time as the 11th Doctor, and this is the final speech. We all change. We all become different versions of ourselves, but I will never forget the version of myself that I was in 2022. Well, here we are. It's the end of the year. It was hard for me to write this, and it's hard to say goodbye. I'm getting goosebumps as I'm talking. In a year where things started in such a terrible place for me, I felt like I was dragging my feet through every single day of life. Somehow I was able to make it through, and it ended up being fantastic. I have to go now. But before I go, I want to leave you with one more thing. Consider it your reward for making it through the whole video.
Tapio Taki. Tapio Taki.
Yeah, for the people who know me personally, I started a webcomic in 2022, and I want to bring it back, but in a little bit of a different way. So starting in 2023 at Talkie will be coming back as an animated web series instead of a webcomic. This channel is a variety show, so be ready for a lot of different forms of content. Listen, I wanted to give up so badly, but I didn't, and look at me now. It's crazy how many things can change in 1 year.